FCF,
Keep going.
what in the world are you doing here in my house? Where are you? How did you get in here? Okay, enough of my foolishness. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this FCF. This is our third in our devotional series. We're dealing with the subject of waiting, and we will be on this subject for probably 3 weeks. I think it's critical because we're likely to be waiting for 3 weeks before any degree of normalcy returns. So I'm in the Psalms. We will eventually get out of the Psalms, but let me share with you another Psalm by David. And David starts out in Psalm 40 is where I'm at today. He says, I waited. There's our key word there. I waited patiently. It's one thing to wait. It's another thing to wait patiently. I waited patiently for the Lord. And now David's going to give his testimony. He's going to say, he's going to tell us what his experience was when he was willing to wait patiently for the Lord. Then he's going to say, this is what happened. This is what God did for me. He says, I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me. There's number one. He heard my cry. There's number two. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. That's number three. He set my feet on a rock. Number four. He gave me a firm place to stand. Number five. He put a new song in my mouth, a hymn of praise to our God. Many will see and fear and put their trust in the Lord. Blessed is the man who makes the Lord his trust. So let me just go back on those verses again and set it up a bit for you. David says, the result of his willingness to wait patiently for the Lord, it brought tremendous impact, positive impact to his life. Now, waiting, as I said, is one thing. Waiting patiently is an entirely different thing. Can't see you through the screen, but let's just ask ourselves that question. How many of us have a really, really hard time waiting at all? And then, how many of us have an even doubly hard time waiting patiently? Now, again, God never calls us to do something that he does not want us to learn to do and that he will not enable us to do. Now you have to understand God's methodology though. So when God's saying to me, Randy, I want you to learn to wait and I want you to learn to wait patiently, the way that that's going to happen is I have to say, okay God, the next time I'm in a circumstance where I have to wait, I'm going to monitor my emotions and I'm going to do my best to keep them in that patient zone. And the way this normally works is that I fail my way forward. In other words, we're like babies learning to walk. We're trying to learn to wait and to wait patiently, but the likelihood is we're going to lose our patience periodically. We're told in 1 John 1:9, when that happens, we confess our sin to God. He forgives us and cleanses us from all unrighteousness. But we are getting slowly but surely stronger. That little baby that falls down is not trying to fall down. That little baby is trying to walk. As long as that little baby keeps getting up and not giving up, what that baby once could not do at all, that baby will do easily. You and I may not be able initially to wait, and especially to wait patiently. But if we put our will and our heart on the side of God's will, eventually this will become who we actually become. All right, so he says, I waited patiently for the Lord, and then it starts to get good. He experienced some results. He turned to me, and he heard my cry. David evidently was making prayer requests to God, and David had to wait. He was not getting the answers as fast as he wanted. He was not getting the answers the way that he wanted. But he waited, and he stood patiently, and eventually God answered. And that's what he's reporting now. He says, you can do it too. He says it's worth it. Wait patiently on God. He'll turn to you. He'll hear your cry. Secondly, verse 2, he says, he lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and the mire. Now, this is a fascinating poetic expression. David is talking about being in a circumstance where you cannot extricate yourself. You can't get yourself out. It's a 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. It's like being in circumstantial quicksand. You try to get out, but you can't get out. You're slipping and sliding and you're stuck. And some of you know just what I'm talking about. You're stuck in a circumstance. David says because he waited patiently on God, God eventually got him out of that circumstance that he could not get himself out of, that was making the quality of his life quite uncomfortable. Then it goes on to say that God did something else for him. It says that he set my feet on a rock and he gave me a firm place to stand. And this is really cool. David is saying, my life didn't have any stability. I was 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. I was stuck. I was slipping. I was sliding. I was getting nowhere. It was frustrating. But God, because I waited patiently on him, he finally brought me to a place where he gave me stability. Stability we all want. Resilience we all want. Clarity we all want. Confidence we all want. Focus, direction, purpose, meaning. All of that is wrapped up in where David says, man, he put my feet on a rock. I knew who I was. I knew why I was here. I knew what I had to do. I knew where I was going. It didn't matter that the circumstances weren't what I wanted. I knew what to do in the circumstance. So he put my feet on a rock and he gave me a firm place to stand. And then this next part is really cool. It says, he put a new song in my mouth, of hymn of praise to our God. This is purely inward. The truth of the matter about life, one of the biggest secrets of life is this. Life quality is based on emotional quality. And our emotional quality, we have been tricked into believing, is based on our circumstances. If I get the things I want, if I can do the things I want, if I can pursue the things I want, if I can experience the things I want, we have a society that teaches us the quality of our life will be the best that it could be. We will be happy. Absolutely untrue. The quality of our life is spiritual. And when inwardly and spiritually we are attuned with our Creator and we are aligning our life with His Word, His will, the principles that are the laws of our being, spontaneously from within, peace, joy, love start to develop and rise up within us. A song, the psalmist says, he put a new song. So he was in circumstances that he didn't like, but he learned to wait patiently. And in the midst of that time, of those circumstances that he didn't want to be in, while he's waiting patiently, God brings inward joy to him and a song. He's singing praise to God. He has a new perspective. The inner quality of his life had been changed. God changed his perspective, and from his perspective, that changed his emotional standing. We cannot say to things to people like, "You make me mad. You make me unhappy." No, that's not exactly accurate. Don't get me wrong. We can all do things to hurt or help one another. But the truth is, the quality of our life is an inner state between ourselves and our Creator. So, when we learn to wait and to wait on God patiently, we're in this corona shutdown. We don't know how long we're going to have to wait. Waiting patiently is going to be challenging, but it's a great developmental goal to have. And I believe that if we do that, we'll also have stories. David says that other people will see, and they'll fear or have reverence for God, and others will even put their trust in the Lord. Blessed is the man who makes the Lord his trust. David is saying, if other people see the way we conduct ourselves during these difficult periods where we have to wait and wait patiently, and if they see God doing a transforming work in us, some of them will be spiritually awakened, and some of them will even themselves come to trust in Christ. So we can still do the work of God even in the most peculiar circumstances. So take heart, FCF, and wait patiently for this God of ours who is ever faithful. Let's close in prayer. God, your word is so powerful, it's so good. It infuses such clarity, such hope, such inner strength in us. We can't even begin to express it. How I pray that those that will hear this little broadcast, that the Spirit of God will find freedom to do in them what you are literally doing in me just through this process. May we be those, Lord, that wait patiently and do so to your honor and glory and to the impact of others that see the results that you bring into the lives of those that wait patiently. We ask it all in Christ's name. Amen.